Oh. Whoa. What? Where? Where am I? It's Tony's time. I gotta get back.
Well, that was weird. Anyway, it's Tony season, and you know what that means. It's time for your survival guide to the 72nd annual... Do I have to do this?
Yes.
See, here's the thing. Josh Groban and Sarah Bareilles have already made fun of me for making this video.
It's not your year if you are some pretentious theater snob.
'Cause we've got Mean Girls, Frozen, and a little sponge named Bob.
So, excuse my theater snobbery, Josh and Sarah, but it is decidedly not my year. I mean, just take a look at the 4 Best Musical nominees between Mean Girls, Frozen, SpongeBob, and yes, even The Band's Visit. Every Best Musical nominee is a direct adaptation of film or television. In fact, if you look at the 21 non-revival musicals currently on Broadway, half of them are direct adaptations of film or television. 4 of them are jukebox musicals about a specific musician's life or work, and that leaves only 6 on the more original side of the spectrum. And even of those, 3 are based on books, leaving only 3 purely original musicals on Broadway right now. But apparently wanting originality in my Broadway makes me a snob, so let's take a look at this theme park of a theater season. Let's get this out of the way first. SpongeBob Squarepants the Musical is nominated for 12 awards this year, including Best Musical. I have rehashed this show to death, and my distaste for it stands decidedly in the minority, much to the delight of many YouTube comments. It is a flashy, technicolor acid trip on stage with not-so-memorable songs written by famous people. It's the kind of show that about 5 minutes in, you know it's going to end with confetti cannons. It is, and this pains me to say, but SpongeBob is also probably the most original musical in the Best Musicals category this year. Let's move on. Mean Girls is also up for 12 awards this year, proving that musicals about distraught high schoolers are so fetch right now. Just ask Dear Evan Hansen, or Be More Chill, or Heathers. A faithful, funny, and flashy adaptation of the 2004 film, this musical has been growing on me a little bit. It's nothing stellar, and I think relies a little too much on the cult classic in-jokes of the movie, but it's got some catchy tunes, and Tina Fey's book is about as funny as you'd expect it to be. The Band's Visit has 11 nominations this year, and if I were a betting man, I would bet it's the one nominee this year that you don't already know a lot about. It's based on a 2007 Israeli film about an Egyptian ceremonial police orchestra accidentally taking the wrong bus to the tiny Israeli town of Bet Hatikva. It's a heartwarming little slice of a story about 2 cultures colliding and absolutely has no confetti cannons. The Band's Visit already opened off-Broadway and then transferred, and it has already received wonderful, amazing accolades. So we'll see how it does at the Tonys. And last of our Best Musical nominees is Disney's Frozen. Frozen is up for only 3 awards this year. Some people might call that a snub. Pretentious theater snobs like me might call that appropriate. Whoever you are, you already probably know what to expect from Frozen. A lot of Disney flash, children singing along in the audience, a magic dress, and a puppet reindeer. The lack of nominations for such a powerful Disney franchise may just be a fluke, or if we're reading the tea leaves, may say something stronger about Disney's continued success on Broadway, or lack thereof. Up next are nominations for Best Revival of a Musical, starting off with Rodgers and Hammerstein's Carousel. This is Carousel's 4th time on Broadway since its premiere in 1945. It is a big, classic dancing kind of musical that might be a little bit past its time. It's a story of love, life, and death, and domestic violence, and spinning horses that go up and down. I don't know, it's classical musical theater. It was important then, and people like to pretend that it's important now. Next is the revival of My Fair Lady, up for 10 awards and with its 5th production on Broadway. It's Pygmalion the Musical, you know, the rain in Spain stays mainly dancing all night, and all of that. Really, reviving My Fair Lady is just a traditionalistic Broadway ritual that we perform every couple of years to keep the terrifying demon monster that's dormant under the TKTS booth in Times Square at bay. In all seriousness, though, this revival did do some interesting things with the ending of this musical that might have finally updated it for a contemporary audience. And last on the revivals list, and most exciting to me, is a reimagined Once on This Island, up for 8 nominations. There's a sand-covered stage, and water, and goats, and chickens, and you can hear Jimmy and I babble on about this for more than an hour on a recent episode of the podcast. I'll put a link somewhere. But in short, this story is a combination of The Little Mermaid meets Romeo and Juliet set in the French Antilles. It's a beautiful story to begin with, and this production adds a whole nother layer of dimensionality that is just wonderful. And that's it. That's your survival guide for this year's Tony Awards. Let's hope I survive this year's Tony Awards. Now, joking aside, I know I am a cynical theater snob, but hear me out. This year's Tony Awards hashtag is This Is Broadway. And, well, I just don't want this to be Broadway, you know? I want original musicals. I want creative and challenging and intelligent musicals and new musicals and musicals that don't have confetti cannons in them. But maybe this is Broadway, and I'm just gonna have to start getting used to it. If you'd like more salt to go with your Tony Awards, or if you'd like to rub it in my face when SpongeBob wins Best Musical on Sunday, you can find me on Twitter, @MusicalMash. I'm sure someone will enjoy it. Alright, I'll see you on Sunday.